when pain is silent. The healing that begins in connection. There are pains that make no sound. They simply exist inside you, quietly pulsing. These wounds weren't born only from what someone did to you, but from what they didn't do. From the hug that never came, the care that was missing, the gaze that never lingered on you. And maybe you learned very early to hold all of that inside your chest, as if it were normal. As if being strong meant swallowing tears, enduring everything alone, moving forward without asking if someone could stay by your side. This involuntary solitude creates an emptiness that's hard to name, an inner space that always feels like it needs something but never finds it. Maybe you know this feeling. Maybe you've lived your whole life trying to be too strong when what you really needed was companionship, when what you truly wanted, deep down, was someone to say you don't have to go through this alone. The truth is that our deepest emotional wounds don't come from the pain itself, but from the absence of presence at the moment we needed it most. And there is something profoundly human in the relief that arrives when, suddenly, someone truly sees us. Sometimes it's a small gesture, a smile, an unexpected conversation, care offered without you having to ask. Suddenly, something that was hardened inside you starts to move again. Your breath softens, your chest opens just a little, and you realize that maybe healing exists even if slow, even if subtle. You don't have to carry everything alone. You deserve care. You deserve rest. You deserve to be seen with tenderness. And with this softness and sincerity, I walk with you now. This is another Headspace Talks. Let's go together. Some of the wounds we carry began long before we could understand them. They're like tiny cracks formed in our earliest relationships, when affection was the map guiding us through the world. And when that affection failed even, silently something inside us learned to stop expecting. It learned to shrink so as not to bother, to settle for little, to survive on emotional crumbs. These wounds often come from places where we should have found safety, families that love but don't know how to show it, people who stay but don't know how to be present. Homes with food on the table, but no space for feelings. We grow up thinking that's enough until adulthood reveals the hole it left. The most complex part is that our wounds rarely come from obvious harm. They come primarily from what didn't happen. The hand that didn't hold ours, the "I'm here for you" that never came, the presence that turned into silence. Our deepest pains were born from what was missing. And what is missing, even if invisible, weighs heavily. Over time, these absences become part of our emotional identity. We begin to believe we don't need anyone, that it's safer to depend only on ourselves, that vulnerability is dangerous. But that strength is actually an old adaptation, a shield created to survive a world where there was no one to comfort us when we were small. And so we move through life carrying invisible causes that shape how we love, trust, and connect. Quiet wounds that finally ask to be seen perhaps for the first time. When we grow up surrounded by emotional absence, we develop an inner voice that tries to protect us from pain, but ends up disconnecting us from life. This voice repeats old beliefs, phrases that weren't born inside us, but planted by experiences that hurt in subtle ways. Don't expect too much. Don't trust fully. Don't show too much. People don't stay. It shows up especially when we try to form bonds. It reminds us of old disappointments and tries to keep us safe from repeating them. But in doing so, it stops us from living new possibilities. It blocks affection, closeness, connection. And the more we listen to this voice, the more convincing it seems because it speaks from the logic of fear. The painful truth is that this voice is not your enemy. It's an old version of you, one who learned to survive in the only way it knew how. That's why it speaks so loudly, because once it really did protect you. But what protected you in the past doesn't need to be in command today. Over time, we start believing this voice is who we are, that we are naturally distant, naturally guarded, naturally self-sufficient. But that's not true. That hardness is a layer. A shield. Beneath it lives someone who always longed for affection, for presence, for care but learned far too early to stop hoping. When you recognize this, a small opening appears, a chance to soften that voice, a chance to let it be part of you without letting it define you. Emotional healing begins when we learn to look at our own story with tenderness, not with shame, not with guilt, not with harsh judgment, but with understanding. When we realize we did the best we could with what we had at the time, that we acted according to what we knew, that our reactions were survival strategies, not emotional failures. Self-compassion is exactly this, acknowledging that you deserved more, but didn't have the tools or support to create what was missing. It is looking at your past and seeing the child who needed comfort, the teenager who needed support, the adult who needed rest. It is telling yourself, I understand you, I'm here with you now. Forgiveness here is not about absolving those who hurt you. It is about freeing yourself from emotional responsibility for experiences that were never your fault. It is about laying down the weight of stories that shouldn't have been yours to carry. It is allowing life to continue without the anchor of self-punishment and harsh inner criticism. As this tender perspective grows, something inside you shifts. The inner harshness dissolves. The critical voice softens. A gentler presence takes its place. A version of you who treats yourself with the affection you never received. And this is where real healing begins. Healing does not arrive as a sudden miracle. It emerges in small, almost invisible gestures. It is the day you set a boundary. The moment you admit what you feel. The first time you ask for help without apologizing for it. Every one of these gestures is a victory, a new stitch in an old wound. These small wins hold immense value. They show that you are no longer alone inside yourself, that now there is a part of you that stands up for you, protects you, values you, a part that used to be silent but now begins to awaken. Gratitude comes as a natural unfolding of this process, not forced gratitude, but a soft, gentle awareness. A sense that something is shifting, that life is finding a place to grow inside you. Gratitude does not erase pain, it illuminates the path of healing. Over time, these small gestures turn into profound transformations. Every boundary set, every act of self-care, every honest word becomes a point of light on your path. A quiet affirmation that you are moving if slowly, and little by little, your story begins to reorganize itself from the inside out. There is a deeply important moment in emotional healing, the moment you finally understand that you are worthy of love, not conditional love, not love measured by what you can give, but full love, steady presence, genuine care. When you accept this truth, everything changes. The way you look at yourself changes. The way you relate to others changes. You stop accepting shallow relationships, empty promises, affections that hurt, and you begin to allow only what nourishes you, because now you know you are worthy. This recognition opens the door to new emotional experiences. It allows you to receive love with more ease. It allows you to give love without losing yourself. It allows you to build relationships grounded in respect, reciprocity, and truth. And something beautiful happens. When you believe you deserve love, old patterns begin to fall away. The past no longer dictates your choices. You free yourself from behaviors that caused years of suffering. And you discover, finally, that there is life beyond the pain. Worthiness is not arrogance. It is healing. It is emotional dignity. The present is the only place where healing truly happens. It is here, in this very moment, that you can breathe, feel, and choose again. The past explains your wounds, but it does not determine your future. The present is the point where everything can shift. When you are present, you notice that the world is no longer the same as when your wounds began. Today, there are people capable of seeing you. Today, there is maturity to understand your own emotions. Today, you are no longer the child who was alone. There is a you whole aware, available. Being present doesn't mean ignoring the past. It means not being imprisoned by it. It means letting emotions rise and fall without panic, without avoidance, without shame. It means accepting your humanity and honoring your path. The present invites you to breathe slower, to feel the ground beneath your feet, to notice the quiet beauty that still exists. And every time you return to this moment, a part of you finds rest. The present is where healing lives. When you look at your path with honesty, you may see how many times you walked alone, how many times you had to be stronger than anyone realized, how many times you carried everything without letting the weight show. But now, slowly, you are learning to tend to your own wounds, and that is deeply beautiful. You are discovering that healing doesn't come only from receiving it, comes from offering to. When you care for someone else, when you show up for someone's pain, something inside you reorganizes, because in that gesture, you give the world exactly what was missing for you. And without even noticing, you restore dignity to your own heart. Maybe your wounds will never disappear completely, but they stop bleeding when they are welcomed. They stop controlling your life when they are understood. They stop destroying when they are held with tenderness. Your pain can transform into presence, into care, into humanity. Before we finish, I leave you with a question for quiet reflection. Which part of you is asking for presence right now? And of course, if you want to keep walking with me, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here at Headspace Talks, we learn together to transform pain into strength and silence into healing.